What's up? What's up? It is Wednesday, January 14th. How is everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
That well. Wow. Okay, let's go. We're fired up
Tripping
today,
out.
right?
I was just tripping out that it's almost halfway through the month.
I
I like.
know.
It's like what the heck.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Yes.
time be flying.
So,
Well,
We've been gearing up. I guess I wasn't on the last one because I was at CES and you guys held down the fort. But CES, I was surprised by CES because it, I hadn't been in years, and I hadn't gone with I'd never gone as like the film business side of things. I'd gone like for like the tech side of things. But what's interesting about what has occurred is now the entire entertainment business is basically the tech business because you have all these major streamers that have just everything streaming. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're Warner Brothers or Fox or HBO, like Netflix. They're all tech companies now, which is really interesting to watch the metamorphosis of the entertainment business that it's now in the tech business.
Hmm.
Um, where when Netflix first came in, they're like, oh, it's these tech nerd guys. Like, who cares? We're filmmakers and studios, and we have a different business to them. Now that is the entertainment business, and everyone kind of commandeers the Aria Hotel, and they have all these people that are holding up these like placards with the different brands, the different streaming companies and tech companies, and then they'll take you up to the cloud suites or whatever, and they'll and then you can have your meeting with whoever you're supposed to meet with. And these executives are basically in these suites, and they're just like churning people in and out of them, taking dozen meetings a day, and then everybody else is meeting in the lobby, or if you're meeting with some of those people that they want to get out of there, you're taking a meeting in the lobby. And so the Aria kind of just turns into this entertainment hub, and the amount of stuff involved in ad supported streaming, I was just shocked how big it's become. It's just a massive piece of the business. And I went to the Netflix ads party, I went to Zumo party, I went to the Nvidia. Well, Nvidia wasn't really streaming party, but we went to the UTA party. There's just all this entertainment stuff that was happening, and it's most of it, of what I saw, was focused on ads. And you're just kind of watching these big companies just redirect their sites over here, and they're like, all right, this is a great opportunity. And I was talking to some of the people at Netflix, and some of their biggest growth is happening on the ad side. They said it's not cannibalizing, like people aren't downgrading from subscription to ads, but it allows them to attack a whole different subset of the market that they weren't able to really they were outpriced, that they're not going to pay, what is it, $24 per month. I mean, it's just ridiculous how expensive Netflix has become. And when or if they acquire Warner Brothers, that's only going to make it more expensive, because it's like, oh well, now you get you get all this other content, and you get Harry Potter, you get HBO Max, and anyway, so it was just really cool to kind of see that we're on the right track, that all the meetings and conversations and discussions that we're having kind of behind the scenes are all with the right people, because they're in those events and in those meetings and in this space, and this is really where the big studios are paying attention.
It's actually a really good point, because I pay my HBO bill went up from like 16 or $15 to $16. Now I think it's 18 or $19. And I also pay, 25. I think I get a discount through my mobile provider, but $25 a month for Netflix. So yeah, if you combine them, that's $45 a month on two streaming apps. If you combine them together, I'll pay $45 a month, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe they
Maybe,
say, "Oh, it's only $40 a month. We give you a
yeah,
discount for a
save
bundle."
money. Yeah, so
Well,
that's
and you're not even looping in Disney. Disney's $35 a month for Disney, Hulu, and ESPN.
right. I
It's
pay
insane.
I got this like legacy deal where I think I paid 10 or $15 for ESPN Plus, but that doesn't include Hulu and it doesn't include a lot of the ESPN streaming. So
All this
really,
consolidation is getting people into the bundles, and so now you're bundling. Yeah, you can do it a la carte, but if you're
yeah,
bundling it, um,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
oh
The
yeah.
uh the interesting thing about looking at what is it HBO is they have TNT and they have a bunch of other live options that are happening with their offering. So like if you're an HBO subscriber, you have access to a lot of live sports, and that's become I think, for me who watches a good amount of movies, but I don't watch a lot of movies on HBO. um it's pretty remarkable to see that they're including a lot of live sports now, and that includes, I think they have NBA, hockey, and I don't know if they have football, but they do have a few things. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of sports on my HBO subscription now. So it's been a big upgrade for how I was using HBO in the past. So that's
Well,
been pretty,
also Netflix is starting to do sports as well, so you're kind of watching all these different, and if you combine
yeah, true.
HBO sports with Netflix sports, I mean, they're going to have a big piece of the sports business as well.
Yeah.
But I think what it does is it just, with the whole Netflix model of having ads, I think it just proves that people are now okay with watching content with ads on them if they pay less. Just because it's become a thing where cable network is like no one's paying, $150 for cable anymore. And if you are, you're blowing it. But it just shows that people are willing to do a la carte on all these different streaming platforms. If it's going to be cheaper, they're down to watch a couple ads. And
For
so
sure.
I feel like
For
that's
sure.
kind of like the next. It's a proven model that people are willing to pay less to watch ads, or if you can get it for free, they're gonna, no matter what, watch ads. It's not even a big
Yeah.
deal.
I think that's where the big point of the CES conversation is, like, the money is shifted from the consumer wanting to spend money out of their pocket to, hey, I'll watch ads and I want it for free, or I'll pay a lot less if it has ads on it, because bringing in a demographic that just doesn't want to have to pay more for subscriptions, or has so many subscriptions they're not going to be interested in signing up for another subscription, so it better be free. And yeah, if you want to throw some ads on it. And same thing happened with Amazon, where Amazon um Prime is now running ads. And Amazon Prime is funny because uh they have a option where you can watch their streaming content for quote unquote free, but you obviously don't get access to Amazon Prime unless you're an Amazon Prime member, which costs 100 and something bucks a year. So if you don't want to watch ads though, then I think it's another $2 or $3 a month, and then you have the ads removed. So it's like you're almost like, oh, whatever, might as well just up it. But if you add it up, that's another 36 or $40 a year. Add it to your $110 Amazon Prime membership. Now you're at 150 going to Amazon per year, and you get
Well,
Amazon
and
Prime content
well,
without ads.
Well, Amazon Prime and Prime Video are different. So there's two charges. So if you have Amazon Prime for just the stuff that you're doing with, purchasing products, that's one thing. But if you want Prime Video, you have to pay extra.
Right. Well, no, you can still get it. You just You can still
Right, but
get
if you want
paid.
ads, but if you don't want
Right,
ads, you have to pay
If you don't want
extra.
ads, you pay extra. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so I agree with you. But they're also bringing value because now they have the NBA, huge deal with NBA, and now they did a huge deal with baseball, I believe. Or no, sorry, with Thursday Night Football on Amazon. So I mean, they're spending a lot of money, and now you can watch football on Amazon. In fact, that's where Thursday Night Football is. So if you don't have Amazon, you're not watching Thursday Night Football games. So there's value there, you know, and I think that's the key is that if you're going to be a streaming service, whether you're free or paid, you have to bring value to your customers, and that value comes in the form of content, you know. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think the ad conversation, like the tech, is going to be on the ad side now, and also if your ads are not high quality, I think also the consumer is, you know, subliminally used to a high quality ad. And if you get low quality ads, you're going to be like, oh, this streaming service sucks. So it's like going to be incumbent on these streaming services to keep the ad quality as high as you possibly can. Of course, not every streaming service is necessarily going to get access to like the best ads where these companies are spending, you know, $1 million on a commercial spot. But those $1 million, $2 million, $3 million commercial spots are the ones that look the best and are most pleasing the eye for the consumer. And yeah, and it makes it a little bit easier to watch the ads when they're high quality, good looking ads, whether it be car companies, drug companies, insurance companies, you know, food, fast food, whatever. Even if you're not interested in that product, you still want to look at a nice looking ad rather than some shitty ad. So but getting those ads is going to be harder and harder for newer streaming services for sure, because everyone's like, oh well, we'll just spend our money with Amazon and Netflix, you know, because those brands have big profiles and obviously, you know, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of users.
I would be willing to bet that that assumption gets upset because
Which one? Which
the
assumption?
assumption that consumers require high quality, well produced, heavily produced, high cost ads, because maybe about 10 to 15 years ago, it was believed that consumers would not watch low cost, low budget media. And then YouTube and TikTok came along and did just completely upset that. And you've got people like making videos with their phone, and they're getting millions of views. So I suspect that there's going to be a big bifurcation between what people actually care about in terms of quality of an ad and what people don't care about at all and never did, but we just didn't know it because the ad market was so small and it was confined to just big operators, as was media until, you know, recently. But I think ads is going to be the next thing, that there's going to be like indie ads, and they're going to be high quality. People are going to care about them. They're going to like them, but they're going to be low cost.
No, you're 100% right on that. By the way, even Coca-Cola has been making a few ads using AI. And so, I mean, they're not as good as a normal Coca-Cola ad, but hey, it can be done, and it is possible to get it there, you know. So
Yeah, I do think that AI is going to change the ad business. You know, it's funny because everyone's so scared that it's going to destroy the, you know, actors. And don't get me wrong, a lot of actors make a lot of money off of commercials, so it is going to fuck over a lot of commercial actors. But I believe that the commercial industry is going to get revolutionized by AI, where not only are you able to create high quality ads very easily, but you can also tailor those high quality ads to the individuals that are watching it as we continue to collect more first party user data. And so that's where I think it gets exciting, because then as a viewer, if the ads are more tailored to me, like I know when I'm going through Instagram and I'm getting a bunch of like random shit, I'm just like, why are you sending me this ad? Like, send me the good ads. Like, if you're gonna go wreck my feed, at least give me stuff that's like aligned with me, and I'll even like train the ads, be like, no, not relevant. Like, all right, send me more stuff like this, or I'll click on something that I probably wouldn't buy, but at least it's like aligned with some shit I'm down with someone to advertise to me. And but as you start tailoring them to me, then I'm like, all right, I can deal with, oh, that's a cool jacket. Like, all right, you can advertise me. But if you're sending me some just like random things, then it feels intrusive to what I'm doing.
Yeah, I do think that what Caleb's saying is 100% right, though. And I know that with the rise of AI, creating iterative commercials is going to be way easier. We already saw this with ads, just basic ads, like ads that are in your feed and coming across social media, where they're creating iterative, advertisements for a lot of things. It could be for a product, it could be for political, pretty much anything at that point, but creating dozens, if not hundreds, of different versions, different colors, different text, different prompts, and being able to pump them out and see which ones are going to be performing the best. And it seems very consistent with that progression that we would see that begin to appear in the CTV advertising space. And also with AI, I mean, AI has gotten so good, like with specifically including visual effects in real time, doing things that would have previously required a very expensive visual effects company, to create those shots. Now you're just like doing them in real time straight into an editing platform. So it would be very realistic for someone to create, a couple dozen different really good looking ads, like things that are going to look fantastic, for even, lowbrow brands or brands that aren't, multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies. So that said, the problem that you're going to run into is not necessarily, and to your point, not necessarily the highest quality of the ad, but the low quality of the CPM. And it's always going to be a race to the bottom on these ads. And so that's actually where, specifically, I think Netflix understands this with their whole endeavor going into live sports, is that these sporting events are where, people are joining in mass. You're getting a lot of people to come in at a very specific time to watch something live. And then those are going to be that's going to be the most valuable real estate for these advertisers. And so they'll pay a higher CPM for that. But if you're just like pumping it into CTV inventory and it's like, the night shift and just, some random channel just has some ad availability, it's like, what's the minimum CPM? Is it someone saying, hey, you know what, we'll pay $2 for this? And that's a pretty low CPM versus, where these platforms want to be, which is somewhere between 20 and $50, which is where they start making money. So it is going to be a fight. And I think you'll see a lot more people able to get into the CTV advertising space with high quality ads and really low CPMs. And so that'll be the challenge. How do you operate a business when the CPMs are really low? Also, how do you compete against the Amazons and the Netflix and the Hulus and the Disneys of the world when those are the big brands where people are, spending time watching that high quality content? People will pay a higher CPM for that. And then if you're anyone other than that, it's going to be harder to get those high quality advertisers to invest. So unless you have really unique content or get into sports game, which has a huge barrier to entry in terms of cost. I think I just looked up that ESPN has spent, I don't know if this is it can't be per year, but I guess it could be $80 billion for their sports media rights. Actually, it could be per year. I need to look that up, but I saw that figure. I don't know if that was maybe over the last 5 years, whatever it is, billions, tens of billions to be in the sports game. I also saw that, for example, last year, Netflix spent $150 million to just have the one football game on Christmas last year. And then this year they had 2 football games. So I don't know if that means they spent 300 million, but 150 million for one game. And then I know it's been billions of dollars of investment to, Amazon getting Thursday Night Football over at Amazon. And that's the barrier to entry. You got to have billions. You want to get these live sports games. So
I mean, it's all about where the eyeballs are. So you think about
Totally.
If they're going to spend 150 million for Christmas, right? Every single sports fan is going to watch that game. There's no question about it. Even if you're not a sports fan, like some people in our family, we still watch it just because it's Christmas, and it's like just classic. It's like watching Home Alone during Christmas. You're going to watch the football game on Christmas Day. And so the ads that people are going to spend, or the companies, the money that people are going to spend on the ads to play during the Christmas football game, the one and only, bro, they're going to make 3, 4, 5x their 150 million that they spent. You know what I mean? So it's just about where the eyeballs are, and that's where the big dollars get spent.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's
how much you're going to spend on marketing, like how much you're going to spend to drive, how much money are you going to spend to go drive audience to your place? So
right. So in addition to the license fee, you got to also then spend.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you don't even have to really market that. I mean, you got to market it to an extent, but like if everyone's looking for that game and you're the only place that's holding that game, then it doesn't require a ton of marketing. It's kind of just like SEO. You're just searching, where's this game? It's one place, it's Netflix. So now you've just brought all these people to Netflix. Oh, I have to sign up to be able to watch this one game. Okay, fine. I'll sign up to, on ad supported at $6 a month to watch it with commercials. And now you got a new user. So that whole user flow of how they acquired that customer, I don't know what Netflix's monthly or annual marketing budget is, but I'm sure it's in the hundreds of millions, if not billions.
I don't know. You probably find their public company, you probably figure it out pretty quick. But I mean, their company's worth 400 billion, so I'm sure they spend a good chunk on marketing. Yeah. But yeah, nevertheless, that's a cool thing that you went and did. Obviously, got to make contact with a lot of people that we've been interacting with, so that's great. Next up is Sundance, which Sundance doesn't really relate directly to what we've been up to, but it's a place that I've been going since 2009.
They spent $2.9 billion in 2024 on marketing.
Yeah, marketing. Yeah. I think it's like you want to spend like a 0.5% to 1% of your.
So getting a game seems pretty cheap,
Yeah. Well, they were spending a couple of years ago. They were spending somewhere between 12 and 15 billion a year in content production. So yeah, they're just such a big budget. They obviously have access to public market funds or huge market cap business. I mean, they're 3 times the size, or at least 2 times the size of Disney. 5 times the size of 5 times the size of Warner Brothers Discovery. Just a behemoth, Yeah, I love what you said, Josh, which is like, the entertainment industry kind of poo-pooed the the tech, entrance on streaming for a long time. It's like, oh, you guys are on the outside of our industry. Now they run the industry and control the whole industry, and everybody wants to work with those, with the streamers, because that's where all the money is and that's where all the eyeballs are. I don't know what the newest update is as far as customers, but I think something like, last I looked, which was actually like over 6 months ago, Netflix had over 350 million users. So it's way bigger than anything that anyone else has in terms of audience. And it's just a big player at this point. It's also changed the entire way that people consume content, and everyone's just playing catch up and trying to build a comparable experience. And their UI UX is second to basically none. I think it's pretty much the best, or at least as good as it gets. So it's certainly an example of what's possible, and probably not to be replicated, but it certainly shows the direction that the market and that the consumer's gone as well, as far as how the consumer is consuming content.
I mean, but look at where the world's gone. I mean, everything's digital now. It's a incredible progression into the digital world, and that's just where we live now. So it's a natural progression that theaters are going to be less used, and things in the natural world are going to be less used. And now we're just kind of moving. I remember when we first went digital on cinema, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you've ruined cinema. Everything's anybody
projectors."
Well, just when he stopped using film, he started like shooting digitally.
Like that. I thought you meant like
it was the first movie to shoot 4K. Now that's like the standard. So there's it's just kind of how the world works, and everyone shits on it until everyone joins it.
No, it's definitely true. It's a big progression. So we can talk a little bit on the PKT side, and we'll see how long we go here. But things are actually starting to heat up. We got a email 2 days ago, and it seems like things are starting to move. In terms of timeline, it could be somewhere between, it's gonna be somewhere between like 3 to 5 weeks, I would say, is on closing, and that's based on the new kind of contractual timeline for on the transaction, which is a due diligence period, and then a closing period, and then there's an extension period depending on if things are taking longer to complete on the contractual side and transacting side. But it's imminent now. Things are back on track now that we're outside of the holidays. As it relates to PKT, it really is going to be a communications strategy. And we've said it before, but in terms of Packet really will benefit from this opportunity. But in terms of like what we're doing on the streaming side, it probably doesn't relate directly or like have much dependence, if any, on what's happening on the Packet side. And so we really look at Packet as a utility story as well as a community story. And even though the community is thin at this point, it's gone through so much metamorphosis, being able to re-inspire and re-attract people to that narrative and to the utility use case, I think is something exciting within the crypto sphere, and something that's going to have relevance to like the average individual, which I think is a big piece of this, because it's like when I look across the crypto sphere and you're looking at even some of these huge chains that are like all but dead, like Cardano, and even way huge projects, top 100 projects, maybe even top 50 projects, that just people don't have a clear understanding of like how they would use that in their life, or if they're holding those coins what they would do with them besides just hoping that they go up. Obviously, it will never change that there's a trader's mentality out there and a whole group of folks that are focused on the market movements and how to make money doing that. That's totally separate. But having like an actual narrative around a project that has like, you know, mass market relevance, I think it's something that I don't see a lot of in the industry at this point. And if it's one of the big projects, you know, the Ethereums and the Bitcoins, I mean, obviously those are capable of doing anything. You know, they store so much value, so many people have exposure to them. Obviously, they're usable across so many use cases, from, you know, lending to utility, et cetera. So there, you know, that will always be relatively ubiquitous within the crypto sphere. But having, again, like a very specific narrative around a project, something that's mass market relevance and utility that the average individual can use, you know, within the streaming CTV space is, I think, very, very exciting. And so that'll be the next phase. Obviously, you know, completing transaction is step one, but then getting into what that marketing looks like over the next year, and you know, building awareness and community, and again, talking about the utility use cases as well as the infrastructure use cases for the packet network. I think you know, we should be able to really make an impact there, and that's the intent. And I think that's where our expectation that we'll see, you know, some market cap growth and community growth, and really targeting the, you know, crypto sphere and the folks in that segment of the market to get involved or at least take note. So that's what gets us hyped, you know. And you know, again, with the legacy nature of with Packet, it's been around for so long at this point, you know, for it to have a, you know, new life breathed into it is certainly exciting for us, and I'm sure for, you know, people who've been around the community for a long time.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We are close. It's kind of like the it's almost like a meme now. It's like it's coming soon.
Should be your face and just say stay tuned.
Yeah, soon. But yeah, no, we are actually really close on this thing. Trust us, we're chomping at the bit to get this thing over the line. We're yeah, just the meetings that we're having, the conversations we're having, the partnerships that we're forming, it's pretty badass. So
yeah, also the other piece, I think, which we didn't really talk about, but probably the most important element, is really around the celebrity element, you know. And it's one of the places that we've felt comfortable for a long time. Coming out of the entertainment space, we know that, you know, if you're doing anything around, you know, movies or TV or whatever, it's very star driven. But when you get into crypto, there are no, I shouldn't say no, but there's not a lot of good examples of legitimate projects that have, you know, real validity, that have stars involved, that haven't gone, you know, into the dumpster like FTX. You know, they had the Tom Brady's there, and you had people really standing behind that, and a lot of those people got badly burned and were like, oh, we want nothing to do with crypto. Crypto's a scam. Now fast forward all these years and Bitcoin breaking 100,000, you know, people are like, okay, crypto's here to stay for sure. But you haven't seen a lot of celebrities get back into the crypto space, because there's, again, just not a lot of things that are relevant on a mass market basis, where someone wants to take their celebrity or their personal brand and associate it with crypto. Why would they do that? You know, they're going to stay focused on what they do, whether it's sports or movies or, you know, their brand or things of that nature. So the fact that we get to now bring forth an extremely legitimate project in the entertainment space and connect it with a project in the, you know, crypto space, I think that will, and again, that the project in the entertainment space will have celebrity around it, that should be able to help bring people into gaining awareness on the packet side. And then, of course, the utility side as well, I think is, you know, again, going to be exciting, you know, if for nothing else, within the utility side of our, you know, people in crypto, and saying, hey, is there something that you can do with Packet outside of just like holding it and selling it, you know? And so that's where we're putting a lot of attention in this next chapter of what we're wanting to do. So yeah, it's look, the contract that we had originally signed September, what did we sign? I think it was September 6th. It had a maturity date of, I think it was October 21st, and we were like, oh, this will be done by Halloween. That was contractual. That's what the contract said, but unfortunately they weren't able to provide access to all of the technology, and they started doing these 1-week extensions. We got like 8 of them.
Yeah.
And now they just said, hey, we've been doing this every week, giving you guys an extension.
Turn it into an NFT collection. Get all fucking 10.
All the 1-week extension contracts that we signed. And then now they're just like, hey, once we give you access, then the clock begins. That's the latest, that we signed right before Christmas. And so now we're just waiting for them to give us access. Once that happens, we'll of course let everybody know, and then we know that the clock begins. And that could be this week. It could be, could be tomorrow, it could be Friday. We'll see. But as soon as we do get it, that's when that clock, that 3 to 5 week clock starts. And yeah, we're expecting for that to be, any day now, which is cool. So yeah, and then on the other flip side, what have we been up to? We've been digging into everything that's required to get into this side of the technology business, particularly around streaming and entertainment. Been working with, Caleb, with our other tech partners who we haven't introduced and talked about yet, and just figuring out what it's going to take for us to get this thing live and in due course. And then, of course, from there, it'll be about how we're plugging Packet into it. That'll be the second part of the story. But at least there will be a lot to talk about, and it should be, from a communication standpoint, a notable new chapter in the story here.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we can leave it there and tune in next week for hopefully some more progress.
Indeed. Yeah. We'll get back on here Wednesday next week and hopefully have a good update.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care.